I'm going to talk about loopholes making children with reading disorders or reading deficiencies further behind. Children usually start showing reading in the early literacy in kindergarten and first grade. Pretty much children don't master those basic reading, early literacy during that time. And then second grade, the teachers may not, fill those holes. And then pretty much by the end of a second semester or second, not semester, but, winter or spring semester of a second grade, those special education referrals started. And then third grade and fourth grade, pretty much the highest prevalence of children with disabilities show in the data. But mainly these high skyrocketing increase is mostly over 90% are due to reading issues. They failed in reading. So pretty much they failed reading means, their whole gears are not ready for school education. Reading is a written language. Reading, right? In the past, that was occupied only the top class, noble class, and then those children had those, private tutors like Sound of Music, like Maria. That types of they had, private teachers, hired teachers, and then those teachers stayed home and then pretty much charged of their whole education. However, ordinary people or low-class people, those children never had the opportunity to approach those written language. So they could have a verbal language and they could speak, they could understand somebody's speaking. So, expressive language and receptive language, they could do it, but not written language. Those written language is all democracy, and then the whole just the world changed, and then those class systems fell. Now, this written language is, available for every child, and public education, free public education. So almost every country has this public education. I don't know about those, free or just still paid. I paid my elementary and whole my K-12 education. My parents had to pay. However, now, Korea has those free education as well. So these even, government provide this free education. So these are written language reading, because reading is a written language, right? And then this written language is all knowledge. It holds knowledge because of books. Books is a knowledge holders, knowledge storages. So more books you read, and then your more knowledge you have, and then your knowledge structure has more, information. So you're here, you're a very smart person. So when we say intellectuals, those people are all just have more. We believe their, head is heavier than other, people. So that's knowledge. However, American public education, we struggle with the children's literacy skills and reading skills. I really don't understand this, because we have so many reading curriculums. However, teachers still those it's not other grade, it's a kindergarten teachers and first grade teachers, and then second grade teachers is the last hope. Those 3 years, 2 years, 3 years, those teachers are the most important teachers. As we said, primary grade, I know that is the lower elementary grades. However, it's the primary means it's a major, more important. I just interpret it that way because it is very important grade. And then they will, those 2 to 3 grade literacy, numeracy education will decide and determine all rest of 10 years education. Because it's not only about the literacy, it is about the children's self-trust, efficacy, and self-competence. So children test themselves, so they can learn. They will be a good learner. They are smart learners. That's what they are testing. So it's more social, emotional, their pride, and then, their people skills. Because you are socially withdraw, and then you don't see, you're not proud of yourselves, and then automatically you are a socially, emotionally withdrawn person, withdrawn child, and then there is no way you could have a good people skills. So out of school, outside of schools, at home, you are very chatty and just, very bright and pleasant child. But once you're in the schools, then you withdraw because, you're not proud of yourself. So it is really heartbreaking things these teachers let the children experience. I'm not saying it's these teachers' fault. However, I see public education or teacher education, we must train teachers, these kindergarten teachers, first, second grade teachers. We must train these teachers, must be able to teach these children to read. Let's say once children can read and then they can comprehend, after then, if second grade teachers, secondary teachers are a little bit weak, still children teach themselves. Students teach themselves. So they want to go to the college, they study themselves. It's not only they just trust the teacher's teaching is the only thing, and then I have a good teacher, so I don't have to study. It's not that. They still study if they want to go to the college. They have their target university and they work, right? Because they are capable. They can read, they can, comprehend, and then they can just participate. Even, high schoolers, even, go to college to take classes during the summer. So that much children can do themselves. So only these primary elementary grade children, it's a very fragile age. These teachers must teach these children by teacher-led instruction. Don't let them free. Don't let them just figure out what you're teaching so they can teach themselves. It's not that age. This age, and then if teachers really believe they don't know how to teach children, and then most of children learn to read. Most of children, 70–80% of children is from home, or just many children come to even kindergarten as readers. So we are not talking about kindergarten teachers and first grade teachers. You have to teach 20, 30 every child in your classroom. Most of children came with the capability of learning to read through your instructions. And many children already are readers. My both sons learned to read before they started schooling. I taught them early because we are English, second language speakers. So I didn't want my children have those, influence. So I taught them to read early age. My youngest one is 3.5. He learned to read. He enjoyed, appreciated reading. And then my oldest one, came here at age 3, and he was at the time in the fluent Korean readers. I taught him to read English, 4 years old, before kindergarten. And he couldn't understand all. At least he was a fluent reader. I didn't want him to be, categorized as a learning disability or something because of the, his English was not that fluent. he was fluent, but his vocabulary was not that, same age children, American children. So we do those, ahead. But these kindergarten and first grade teachers, if you have children, you always have children, about 10 to 30% of children. They don't have those brain gears naturally learn to read through your instructions. Okay, they need some specialized, some one-to-one or small group teaching. And then please use direct instruction, Engelmann's direct instruction, reading mastery, or those scripted curriculum. That phonics method, you must use it. And for those small numbers, if your school district don't use a direct instruction, okay, that's for the teacher-led instruction. You just need only about 20 minutes a day, and then you can just expedite it, that learning, and these children will catch up. Okay, and then while you are teaching, you could see their brain functions, their cognitive levels. Okay, if they have some cognitive deficits, and then especially visual attention and visual perception, and then you have to work on that too. So because they have those, and then, this phonics doesn't work. It's not because the phonics method matters. It's because they don't see it. Even though they have a good eyesight, however, they don't see those details. Okay, they don't see those lines, and it's like, dyslexia. And then that is what, this visual attention is similar. So we intentionally, work on that and remediate that. Okay, so that's the, one. And after this age, and children failed in learning to read, and then by age, second grade and third grade, they started having resource room service. So they became the learning disabilities or mild intellectual disabilities, or some, other labels, and they receive resource room services in school. So this resource room services, it's just 1 or 2 hours. So if they have only reading disorder, and then they have a 1 hour every day. And if they have a math as well, and then 2 hours every day. This resource room services are great service. However, this service is just, it's a system. It's not the teacher's matters. The system-wide, it really make children further behind, not only reading, it's other subject areas as well. And then pretty much if special education teachers and who worked as a reading, resource room teacher, or general education, those teachers, they know how resource room service goes. It's nobody's fault. I thought about this a lot. If I can provide any, alternative ways, I just, so far, I could not think, because the whole school system wide, only the method we could do, it's just after school program. That's all I could think. However, school cannot be responsible for after school service, and children, it's not fair for them to have, hold in the school and for the further instruction, education. They have a sports and other just, fun extracurricular, and, their community and neighborhood, or just sports, and they deserve to those. So, it's a dilemma, to be honest. It's a dilemma. And but this resource room service has, 3 loopholes. 3, the big part is, one is about the schedule, schedule. And I just thought about this a lot, because I just really like to suggest some better way. However, I could not find. So one is, let me find, I'm just trying to find the one it's my book I organized. So it is general education classroom schedules and special education resource room, teachers schedule. It cannot be met. And then because general education, the resource room teacher, it's not one-to-one teaching. They still have a group teaching. These children, let's say the teacher has 5 students in 9 to 10, and then these 5 students, you cannot let the children out of a classroom without any monitor. It's illegally, you cannot do that. So resource room teacher has to visit these 5 classrooms and collect the children, take the children, pick up the children, and just children follow this resource room teacher. And then all 5 children she gathered, and then the teacher gathered, and then the teacher moved to resource room and then teach them there. And then after she taught, and then she have these 5 children, walk with them, and then just drop the children in 5 classrooms. Right? So at that moment, when the children have this resource room service, this classroom could have a science class and a math class, reading class, whatever class is. These children are missing what's going on in their classrooms or whatever subject areas, right? And then when they have, let's say it's for reading, and then they have a reading class, this child is obviously just under the grade level, right? So most of the part of this child could not follow their reading class. However, general education teacher does not include this child to their lesson, because this child has a resource room service. That special education teacher is a specialized teacher to teach this child who could not learn in general education method. So pretty much this child is out of the teacher's attention radar, right? So he just at that time, he pretty much just does his own thing, or just dwindles, or just that's how he spent the whole time. And then while the child has a resource room service, pretty much child missed those subject areas. So that's the one part. And then second one is a resource room service hours. It's because the teacher collect them, drop them. It's like 1 hour. Most of the resource room service is about an hour. And that 1 hour, it's not really 1 hour service. It's just like could be 50 minutes service and 40 minutes service. And then while picking up the children, and the general education teacher has some questions, and then talk to resource room teacher something, or something going on. And then, these times are lagging more. So it's a human world there. And then those times are really not that, much, and this is service time. So that's the another part. So those scheduled children miss those other subject areas, and then their time in just staying in general education when they have those target subject, and then pretty much they are just left out. That's the one matter. And then this research room service teachers waste those during this round trip transition times. And then third one is research room teacher is very hard to have a class, those groups based on the reading levels, not by age levels or grade levels, or kindergarten level reading levels, and then first grade reading levels, second grade reading level. It's hard to do that because of those school schedules, and then usually school schedule goes by grade levels. It's very school schedule is very complicated. So it's very hard for resource room teachers to do that. So quality-wise, service quality-wise, I'm not sure how effectively the teacher could do those 5 children, and sometimes the teachers have 10 children. If the school is a big school, and then the caseload is big, and many resource room teachers said that they have 50 cases, that cases children, 50 children and 40 children. Think about that, 40, 50 children, and they teach a day. I don't know, how many classes they make with those children. It is very hard for them. So, more group, children, and then they waste more time in transition time, round trip transition time, and then those, more children, one time slot, and then means those, variables, those, differences, deficiency levels. So teacher, it's very hard for the teacher to provide a small group lessons. So first thing is we have to teach children in kindergarten, first grade, by second grade, we must teach children to read. And then this resource from service, we gotta do something about it. However, again, I just, what way we could do? Except those children have some outside tutoring service or something, remediation opportunity. It is very, very hard. And this resource from service, most of the children have a resource from service. Eventually, their reading deficiencies and math deficiencies continues. I don't believe that many children, got remediated and lost their label and they don't need the IEP anymore. So not that many. Most of the children may go all together. And if these children have any behavioral issues, and then they may have those evaluation, and then there are possibilities they will come to the special, self-contained classroom. Because of all kinds of I don't want to talk about them more, but it's more than children's academic deficiencies or academic deficiencies. It's other those behavioral issues, and then how general education teachers just get impacted by this, a few child, and then all those, and then pretty much, and then child has behavioral issues, and then their academics, it's just, that is a consequent outcomes. The child would fail more. So it is natural to come to, self-contained classroom. So I'm just sharing this, how we're gonna do what we should do, and these young children, and just have them geared with reading skills and literacy. It is a really important part, and school has to focus. And then they will reduce at least half of children with behavioral issues down. And that is what research said. So it's not from me. Research said, and it is, I believe it's more than 50%. Most of children's behavioral issues by their academic failures. They failed academics, what could they do if they cannot read and then they cannot follow teachers' teaching? It's boring. And then if children stays very quiet, even though they don't have anything to do and cannot do anything, and then that is very odd, right? Children meant to move. So I'm just, I shared these issues, and just let's think about it. If you listen to this lecture and or just watch it, and let's just brainstorm how we can save these children in more effective ways with this resource room services. Okay.